What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the PT Coffee Cast, brought to you by the Movement. My name is Dalton, and alongside me today is my beautifully bearded friend William. William, how are we doing today?
I'm doing really good. You know why?
Tell me why. Tell me why.
Because I got my hair cut.
Yeah, bro, it looks fresh.
Yeah. I got to make up for a few episodes ago.
I know. It looks good, dude.
Thanks,
Nice
man.
little fade. How do you feel? How do you feel when you get a new haircut?
Like, so good, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm emerging
Yeah.
as like an evolved person.
You know what I'm doing today?
What are you doing?
I'm getting a haircut.
Ooh, woo, 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 woo.
Yeah. I'm so excited, dude. There's nothing better than just like going in there and just getting a fresh cut. Sit down, have a nice chat with my barber, let him know what's good in my life. It's just a nice little hour I have in my day that's just about me, man.
We're on the same page there. I feel like we're both people who love going to the barber.
Yeah. And I think I took that away from you.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I know how much you valued the barber, and I was like, you know what? This guy's right. Like, you got to enjoy that time.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad I could do that for you.
Yeah. But guys, even more exciting than Will's haircut and my future haircut is this episode today. We're pumped to be announcing the Movement Mentorship. This is something that we've been working on. What seems like since we started the podcast, it's like formed itself into this. But especially the last, what has it been, like 6 to 8 months maybe? We've been like really going hard on creating the content, putting the frameworks together, figuring out how it's all going to flow, and the content's finally done. We got a great idea of like what we want it to be, and now we're ready to announce it out to all of you beautiful people.
Just super excited to like share the vision of it and how it's sort of evolved and what it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm pumped, man, because like the level of hypeness we had like making this was so fun. Like just creating the content and like putting all the pieces together over like the years of what we've learned, and just like from school to our clinical development from prior mentors to opening the movement and, you know, mentoring clinicians here. It was like all of that is encompassed into the mentorship, and it's just like when we were going through it, it was almost just like fitting too perfectly. We were like, "Ooh, this is it. Like this is what we need to do."
It happened so naturally, I think, is like the biggest thing with this, because when we both got out of school, this is sort of designed to be what we feel we would have needed coming right out of school. And we've kind of learned this stuff through, like Dalton said, like opening the clinic, our own clinic, and mentoring our own team. And so this stuff is all things that we found we needed, and that our team has, like, we've seen kind of like a little bit of a repetitive nature, and like in terms of like what they need to know and learn and develop.
And getting to watch them implement that into clinical practice so far has been like, it's been great feedback for us to be like, oh, this is good. This is where we need to adjust it, you know. So it's been really fun. But let's dive into what it is. So I think like starting with the why is super important. And, you know, the main transition that we made on the PT Coffee Cast was, you know, moving away from like what we used to do, which was like bridging the gap between like what we were learning in school and what was going on in clinical practice, to, you know, helping clinicians elevate their practice by realizing the tools they already possess. And so this mentorship is around that idea. And that is that we do believe that you coming out of school have a ton of skills that you can use right away in clinical practice that will allow for you to be a successful clinician. The thing that we struggled with the most was how to implement and express these effectively to our clients. And a lot of it has nothing to do with like adding new clinical skills, and more to do with like giving you frameworks and actually like looking at a lot of non-clinical things that can be implemented to allow you to be successful.
And like, so this is really born out of that course hopping culture that occurs like when you're maybe finishing school or you're just starting your practice, where you're so tempted to just, like, everybody's telling you add more tools to your toolbox, and we're trying to we tried to design this course to be more like, less like a Ferrari, more like a like, I don't know, some other longer lasting car,
Toyota.
Yeah, Toyota. Yeah. Like a
or
Land
a Honda.
Cruiser,
Yeah,
right?
Goes forever.
Because, like, in that Ferrari, like, you're gonna go real fast, and we've seen this story so many times. But when there's a winter, or you get Ferraris aren't gonna last forever, right? They're not meant for, like, being durable. That's why you burn out, and it happens so often, and people end up leaving the profession when there's so much impact and rewarding. There's so much to gain from being a physio and having a really rewarding career if you do it right and you know how to pace yourself. So we've kept that in mind with this course.
Yeah, because we've seen, like, and we've heard people just leaving the profession. And, I think a reason why we're so passionate about, like, this podcast and now this mentorship is, like, we know how much of an impact we can have as physios on people's health. And we need to figure out ways to continue to have people stay in this profession long term. And we're not saying we have all the answers, but we really believe, like, taking these steps and thinking of the frameworks that we've created is a good way to help facilitate the longevity of a career. And it's something that we wish we had coming out of school. And I think a big thing Will and I would have many conversations about when we were in PT school or just about to graduate PT school was this question about, like, what courses should we be taking, and everyone's going and taking all these different things. And we spent a lot of time having conversations about the importance of building our foundation and building our why and knowing how we want to approach practice and learning and understanding all of those things before we go out and take a bunch of courses. And I think this mentorship is doing that. It's providing you with that framework, that bottom pillar that is going to help you build that foundation. And then after you have implemented and practiced and learned those foundations, you can go out and do all the other fun things.
Exactly. And, like, we say a lot of it's, like, non-clinical, right? Because, like, you come out of school and maybe you have imposter syndrome feelings. And so you try to strive to, like, take more of these clinical courses. But the thing is like, your knowledge in that area is actually pretty high, and your competency is pretty high, but you're still feeling this imposter syndrome, right? And so our idea, along with the kind of framework and stuff like that, is to sort of round out, there's all these other skills, and maybe not skills, but, like, areas that you can learn that can really help you be more well-rounded. And you'd be surprised at how that helps your outcomes and just how you feel practicing.
Why don't you dive into some of the modules?
Sure, yeah. So we've got 6 modules. Number 1 is kind of talking about imposter syndrome and why we feel lots of physios have that and how to overcome it. So that's number 1. We felt a lot of imposter syndrome when we first got out of school, and now, not that it's never there, but I feel a lot less.
Yeah, and I think the reason why we start off with that module is just, like, I think that builds the base of who you are as a clinician, and that's what the module dives into. And I think we just need to spend more time thinking about who we want to be, what our why is, and not chasing this super physio that we all think is out there.
Yeah, so this first module is really going to get you to dive down into the roots of what type of person, what type of physio you want to be, and that's going to swing back around in the last module, but we'll go to module 2. So module 2 and 3 are both around the client experience, something that is, like, huge for your clients and for your ability to provide impact and derive meaning from what you do. And it's super untapped. Like, we hardly spend any time talking about the client experience, but it's one of the most important things, and one of the most, I think, we've seen with our clinic, like, important areas to focus on. That's why we have 2 modules about that. And so they're designed to take you through the entire kind of what do you call it, pathway, life cycle of the client. So the first one's more the beginning, and then the second part's more like the whole follow-up to graduation.
Yeah, and I think like it's something you can really control. And you can do, again, the reason why we're taking this approach is that you don't need any new clinical skills to control the client experience. And that can really help improve the potential outcomes of your clients. And I think within the module, you had put this quote that, like, we can't guarantee outcomes, but we can guarantee client experience, because we can fully control that and the elements of that experience that go and impact that client as they move through it. It's one of my favorite ones that we have, like, in the mentorship, because I agree with you. I think it's one that's very under tapped, and something that as a profession, if we continue to like figure out how we can make unforgettable experiences for clients, I think it's going to make a huge difference.
And none of this stuff is hard to implement, right? It's just about, and none of it's like groundbreaking info that we're not like reinventing the wheel. Like, we're just trying to help point you in the direction of things you should focus on that we've seen have been really valuable with our clinic and our clinicians and with us, right? So you can take all of this stuff, implement it right away, and you will see a difference.
Totally.
So that's second 2 are about client experience. And then the 4th module, one of my personal favorites, is more getting into that framework and using a simple framework to guide your assessments and your follow-ups. And it's less like a clinical thing, more of a way to dive into why are you doing assessments? Why are you doing follow-ups? And how can you structure those to make sure that you're getting the most out of those sessions for you and your clients?
Yeah, I think we talked about it as like becoming a beast at the simple things.
Exactly.
Which simple doesn't mean easy to implement. And I would say this is probably the most clinical we get within the mentorship, because like we are really diving into like the plan and like what our purpose of our initial assessments are and what the purpose of our follow-ups are. And again, it's not to like teach you anything new clinically. It's just to give you a framework, and not even something that you need to implement specifically the exact same way that we give it to you. It's more just giving you something to then create your own kind of plan, 3-step process, how you're going to approach care, so that you can crush it. And if it's the same as ours, like we literally give you ours and you want to use that, go for it, because that's great. But it's more of just a way for you to get an idea of how to implement a framework and then create your own based off of how you want to practice, your why. And so, yeah, I'm excited to take people through that.
Oh, because the plan alone is one of the most underutilized and most important things in the entire pathway of or life cycle of a client. You know, it's like the foundation of it all. And I've never had a new grad come in and tell me that they are confident delivering a plan.
Yeah, and I mean, it's challenging to do, and you don't really go through how to do that in PT school. But again, you're given a ton of skills to go and successfully treat, but you don't have a good idea of how to implement a plan. And I feel like that's what creates a lot of like anxiousness and stress and worry, even for myself. Like that is what it is. I can't speak because one, I'm too hype about this mentorship, and two, I've had my coffee to food ratio. We talked about this is very high in coffee and very low in food, but that is what has like made me the most stressed. And then having that plan just gives you a peace, knowing what that plan is, and it gives you almost freedom to be yourself and practice clinically, because you're not thinking about what is the plan, what's the next step, how am I going to implement this. That's already laid out, and now you get more freedom to be yourself as a clinician, which is going to be better for your client experience, better for your connection, all that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the best part about all of this is like, it's not to tell you exactly what to do. It's to give you a guiding framework that you can then tailor yourself, you know? It's not like a treatment system.
Totally.
That's not what we're trying to do. But yeah, this one I'm very excited about. Number 5?
Number 5.
Number 5 is about how ethical sales can help your client outcomes. Do you want to speak to that one a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about sales on the podcast before, and I think, again, it gets this bad rap, and everyone gets a little cringy when you hear the word sales. And, we view sales as a way to communicate our skill sets as a clinician to the client and position ourselves as someone that's going to come alongside them and help them solve the problems that they have. And there's ways that you can implement this as a clinician to help the outcomes of your clients, right? And that's what we're going to dive into, like within this module, because the more buy-in that you get from clients, the more likely they are to commit to a plan. The more likely they stick to a plan, the more the higher percentage chance they're going to have the outcomes that they want. And there are certain things that we've learned along the way that has helped us to be like successful in implementing that.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something like I felt at first very uncomfortable with, and as I've gone on has gotten a lot more comfortable. It's really helped just feeling confident with like having those types of conversations with clients. And it really builds off of some of the previous stuff, some of the client experience stuff, some of even the framework stuff, delivering a plan. It just really helps, all ties it in. And then the sales module really helps you kind of get a little bit more like tactical with like how you can have those conversations.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think a lot of people come out of school and they don't even realize you have to do that.
Well, yeah, you don't think it's part of like what you do on a daily basis, but it literally is what you do every single day.
Because like if your client doesn't show up or commit to the plan, none of it really matters. You don't get the opportunity to work with them.
Mm-hmm. So, and there are ways that you can increase the likelihood of that happening, and it's doing it in a way that has people understand like why they need your support. Because like there's a lot of times people will come here knowing they need us, but then we have to help convince them that as well. And I think that's where this comes into play for sure.
Exactly. Okay. Last but not least.
Yeah.
So the last one, we want to teach you to attract the clients that you want to work with. When you get into the profession, like you obviously have an idea of like, maybe who would be your sort of favorite demographic. But what they don't tell you is that doesn't just kind of happen. You actually have to develop relationships with those communities and learn how to connect with them and show them what you can do for them and how you can help them solve their problems. So that's what the last module is about. And it kind of comes full circle back to the beginning of the imposter syndrome one, where you're coming up with your values and who you are, why you do what you do. That's going to come into play with the branding stuff in that section. So it sort of ties it all together, because that stuff matters in terms of how you communicate with the people you want to work with, and ultimately how you relate to them and hopefully have them come in. Because if you want to last long term, in the profession, like building a caseload, it doesn't have to be entirely your niche, but I think building something you're passionate about and seeing people that you really like to serve, is a worked skill set.
Totally. Yeah. I don't have anything to add to that. I think the cool part for us was, as we were putting together all these modules and creating the content and brainstorming these ideas, how it all started to connect together. And what we did with this was always tying it back to like how this is going to help you improve client outcomes and how it's going to help you like as a clinician feel fulfilled. And throughout the process of the mentorship, we're always trying to like tie it back. So like when it comes to marketing and sales and branding, like we're tying that into how that is going to help you deliver care and how that's going to help you as a clinician feel fulfilled. And that has been the most fun part for me, is just watching that kind of all come together and realizing how much those things do impact the outcomes and your fulfillment as a clinician.
100%. Yeah. Should we maybe lay out what it's going to look like what the mentorship's kind of going to entail?
Yeah. So those are the modules. I think we're going to roll it out over the course of like an 8 to maybe 9 weeks with regards to like the duration of the mentorship. How we're going to do it is whoever's in the mentorship is going to be provided with all those modules we just talked about in PDF form. So you guys know how hype Will is when it comes to his graphic design. And I think like this is some of your best work. Like visually it is on point. And I know like you really put a lot of effort into like making it super special. So I'm excited for people to actually get those PDFs and go through that and just see like the way that you've created it and told the story and all that stuff. I'm super pumped. So everyone will get access to those PDFs on top of Will and I speaking over the content. So you're not only going to just be able to read it yourself, we're going to do each module kind of like podcast style. Like we're going to obviously bring the ptcoffecast flavor to this because that's what it's all about. But we will be also elaborating on the content that is in the PDFs to tie it all together. And those will be delivered on a weekly basis across the mentorship. And then each week we're going to have a coffee chat where we do a group meeting on Zoom, where we will talk about and facilitate conversation around that week's module. We want those like coffee chats to be more like exploring the ideas, answering questions, and then we'll obviously have some ways to prompt some of the skills that we're going through in each module for everyone in the mentorship. And then along with that, we're going to create a Slack group where the community will be there to interact, question and answers. More exclusive content will be held there. And then that kind of group will always be open to anyone that comes in the mentorship. And we're just going to continue to evolve and add more to that who knows what that will become, but that'll also be included in the mentorship.
Yeah, we definitely see it evolving over time, and kind of like have a life of its own, and we'll make more stuff, but and change it as we go. But yeah, we really wanted to design it so that it's like not just like a jumble of, there's no fluff, it's in a way that you're going to enjoy reading and going through the modules, but also like be able to take away the key information, without having too much just information flowing in there. It's not the purpose. That's not our style, right? Like we try to like, put what you need in there.
Yeah, it's very tangible. We give you homework, so buckle up for that. But it's ways you can go and implement these things right away. And then we, like Will said, it's like we want to give you this stuff, and then you can go and try it the next day, literally in your practice, and explore it, and then come back to the group and talk about it. And so I'm super excited for that aspect of it. There was one other thing I wanted to mention, but now I can't remember what I was going to say. Oh, no, I can't remember. Is there anything else you wanted to cover?
No, like I'm just really excited to do it. Like, even for our own team, like we go through a lot of this stuff, and it's really helped our own team. But now for us to have like a fully comprehensive process laid out for even our own team, I'm super excited about, and I'm really pumped to I know how much it's impacted us, and I'm really excited to help people
Yeah.
with, maybe kickstart that process that I wish we had when we were first starting, or even if you're, not just first starting, but you're struggling with just not really, just not really feeling it.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to give ourselves some props on this. This has been like honestly one of the most fun processes that I've had, like creating content since we've started creating content. And there's a couple times over the last, however many years we've been doing this, that I've gotten this feeling inside where I'm like, oh yeah, this is it, right? And I'm feeling that with this mentorship, so I'm super pumped to put it out. And even if like, and this won't be the case, but even if like it wasn't what we want it to be from a success standpoint, like just putting the content together and creating it and coming up with that has been so fun and fulfilling for me. Like I'm at peace with it, and I'm just excited to like get it out to people.
Yeah, that's how we've always felt. It's like at the end of the day, if one person takes away some benefit, then we're happy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that's all we got for today, guys. In terms of like when the mentorship will be launching, we'll be putting more information out on that. But if you want to join our waitlist, link in the bio on Instagram as well as in the show notes below. You can sign up there, and you can get put on the wait list to be notified like when we do actually launch the first like cohort of individuals. You get on that wait list, you're gonna get some sprinkles of the content that we'll be putting out actually in the mentorship. So you're gonna get some value from even just being on the wait list. So if you're thinking about it, something that you've wanted, you like what we talked about in this episode, and you're like, this sounds like something that I want to be a part of, sign up for that, jump onto that wait list, and then you guys will be hearing more from us with regards to joining the first cohort. But that's all we got for today, guys. As always, make sure you stay caffeinated. Peace.